Hello there, welcome to lesson number 4 in our series on using FluidDesigner for 3D printing to create pendants. In this lesson we're going to show you how you can add some text to a pendant. So if you start off FluidDesigner, first of all we need to go to Learning Projects, Jewellery Projects, Pendants, and we're doing lesson number 04, so it's a text pendant. So I'll just switch on the screencast key so you can see any key presses I make in the corner of the window here. And this is what we're going to recreate today. So it's a pendant that's 50 by 50 by 6 millimeters thick, and that probably includes the thickness of the text Peace and Love. Now in the help panel here the instructions tell you how you can actually create this pendant using Nurbs Circles. So build up the pendant using Nurbs Circles and then add the text to it. In this video I'm going to show you a slightly different way of creating the pendant rather than using Nurbs Circles, and what we're going to do is we're going to import or rather append a pendant that's already been created for you, which is in the 3D templates Pendants Masters. So we're going to import one of these pendants here, and the one that we're going to do is it's the pendant that's 25 by 3 with a 2 millimeter hole. Now this pendant's 50 millimeters, but that's not going to be a problem. We're going to resize this pendant. So rather than drag and drop it onto the workspace, I'm going to keep this pendant in view so we can see what we're trying to create. So I'm going to append this to the current workspace. So if we go to File and Append and go up through the menu system, if we go to Pendants Masters, I want the pendant that's 25 millimeters by 3. Let me just show you that again. 25 millimeters by 3 with a 2 millimeter hole. And you select the object file and append that object into the current workspace. Now if you were creating one of these from new, you could just drag and drop that onto the workspace. You wouldn't need to use append. I'm only using append because I want to keep this object in view. Okay, so there's our pendant. Now it's much smaller than the one we've got at the moment, so I'm going to scale it up first of all. So if I press S on the keyboard to scale, now I could drag it. I can drag it until I get it to be about 50 millimeters. Yeah, that's okay. And when you do scale up, you should always remember in FluidDesigner that the resize vectors will change. These should be set at 1. By resizing it, we've increased the resize vector, so we need to reset that when we do Control A and apply the scale, and that tick there tells me that the scale now is a scale factor of 1. You do need to remember to do that in FluidDesigner if you are going to print objects. Okay, so there's our pendant now. So rather than Nurbs Circles, we've just appended it from an existing file. So if we view that from the no, that's no good. If we view it from the top, here's the finished object. What I'm going to have to do now, I think, is I'm just going to have to rotate this about the x-axis. The red arrow is the x-axis. So if I just change that, okay, 90. I'm just going to do it to set that back to 0 actually. Set it back to 0. That allows me to look at it straight on with the hole at the top. Okay, so now what we want to do is to add some text to this. We want to add the text Peace and Love. Now at this stage it's a good idea to switch from solid mode to wireframe mode. That way we'll be able to see the text that we're going to add to this object. So how are we going to add the text? Well, add and then text. And we now need to click on the show the text data information. And if we go to view and zoom to selected, you'll see there's the text itself. Okay, now by default it just says the word text. So what we need to do is we need to change that to peace and love. So if we press the tab key to go into edit mode, and we hit the backspace key, backspace key, backspace key, backspace key, that will delete the word text. So we can now type P-E-A-C-E for peace. Press the enter key. Use the AND character, so shift and AND on the keyboard, and enter key again, and then L-O-V-E. So we've typed the word peace and love, and as you can see, it's quite well. It's not very. We can't see it very clearly at the moment, but we need to do some other things to this first of all. I'm going to align it in the center, so it's centered it about the y-axis at the moment, and I'm going to increase the text size, and I'm just going to scroll back, increase the text size, and I'm pretty sure in order for it to fit on this object I need to go right up to 10. Okay, now it's a little bit low on the pendant, we'll move that later, but at the moment this text has got no depth. Look, it's got no depth, no thickness to it, so we need to add some thickness, and we can do that by extruding it, which you should have come across before. So I'm going to extrude it just by 1 millimeter. That will actually give it a thickness of 2 millimeters, and usually when you're printing objects, 3D printing objects, you do need about 1 millimeter thickness of text protruding through the object for it to work properly. So it's certainly more than 0.6, I think it is, millimeters. I mean, it does vary on material to material, but I would aim for something like at least plus 1 millimeter. So by extruding it 1 millimeter, we've given this a depth of 2 millimeters, 1 millimeter above the grid, 1 millimeter below the grid. Okay, so we can come out of edit mode now, and we just need to reposition this text, and we also need to convert it to a mesh, because at the moment it's not a mesh object. So if we convert it to a mesh first of all, we now need to locate this text so that it just is at the top face of the pendant. So if we go to, let's try view and front. Alright, I think I'm just going to have to move this object out of the way first of all. Let's just move that to the side, and let's go to view and front again, so we can see where the text is. Whoops, what's happened there? I've got a snap on, have I? Oh, it must be I've not got the text highlighted. Okay, I must be moving the other object. Okay, there's the text highlighted again. Let me just go to view and view it from the front. So what I want to do is I want to lift up the text so that it's just fitting into the pendant itself, and the main body of the text is above the surface of the pendant. Now if I switch from wireframe back to material mode, you'll be able to see what I mean there. Okay, so there's the text. It is inside. We do need it to be just inside the pendant itself. Now if we go to view and top, we do need to reposition the text upwards slightly as well. It was a little bit too low before, so we just do that by eye. So there's our pendant with the text now. Now what we've got to do is to join the two together. So what we need to do is to use what's called a Boolean Modifier. So I'm going to highlight the pendant itself, and I need to go to the modifiers icon in the properties window, and we're going to add a modifier called a Boolean Modifier, and this is from mathematics in school. This is set theory, and what we want to do is we want to create a union. We want to combine two meshes in an additive way. And if I just switch back to wireframe mode again, you'll see at the moment that part of the text is inside the pendant. There are faces inside the pendant. We can't print objects with faces inside objects. What the Boolean operation is going to do is when we create a union between the pendant and the text peace and love, we do need to click on text here. Peace and love is actually the other finished document, so I need to highlight text here. Okay. The mathematics that's going on with this Boolean operation, what it will do is it will delete those grey faces on the inside there, and we'll end up with an object, a finished object, which is just these yellow lines. You can see grey faces there. They are internal faces. We can't print internal faces. That's why we're using this Boolean operation to delete them. So to apply this now, what we've got to do is to go to Tools, Object Tools, and convert it to a mesh. And the Boolean operation will be applied there. But if we zoom in again, you can still see that there are grey faces. Well, the reason for that, if I just switch back to material mode, and you can see that there's some yellow here as well on the screen. If we move this out of the way, whenever we do Boolean operations, we're always left with a duplicate of one of the objects. So what we need to do is to highlight that and press X on the keyboard to delete it. If we look at this finished object now and look at it in the wireframe mode, those grey bits inside the object have been deleted by the Boolean operation. They're not there anymore, and we've now got almost a perfect mesh. We still do need to run it through Netfabb to probably fill in a few holes and border edge problems. It's the usual sort of thing that we get with FluidDesigner. So we just put that back in the center. We'll highlight the original one that was on the screen when we started and press X on the keyboard and delete that one. This is what we've created in today's lesson, and what we need to do is to save it. So as usual in FluidDesigner, we go to File and Save As. Just go up through the menu system, go to My Projects, Jewellery Projects, Pendants, and save 04 text pendant as a Blender file. Now we can't print Blender files, and there also will be some issues around the edges of this, maybe one or two other places as well. So you do need to go to File and Export it, and the printable file format we like to use is the Wavefront OBJ format, and I'm going to save it to the desktop as 04 text pendant object. And if we then go to Netfabb Basic, and we've always got to do this when working with FluidDesigner, we go to Project and Open, go to the desktop and open 04 text pendant. And as I would have expected, there are some issues, and you can see some red markings around the object, and there's a warning red triangle. But I'm fairly confident that Netfabb will fix this for us. So if we go to Extras and Repair Part, and have a look around it again, and just I'm just going to move the window across so we can see what's happening on the right hand side. If I click on Update here, yeah, we've got some problems. We've got 2087 border edge problems. We've got one invalid orientation. That means one face is the wrong way around. And we've got 54 holes and 19 shells. But if we click Automatic Repair and execute it, still looks like we've got some problems. But if we click Update, nope, we haven't got any problems now. They've all gone away. Netfabb's done its job. No border edge problems, no orientations, no holes, just one shell. So what we need to do is apply that repair and remove the old part. And notice the warning red triangle's gone now. And there is our finished Peace and Love pendant. So all we need to do is to go to Part and export the part as a wavefront object. Export it to the desktop as 04 text pendant repaired. And that, when we save it, that is the file that we should be able to print. Now, we've come across some more problems now. This does happen occasionally. Everything looks like it's going to work, but it doesn't. What we need to do here, if we get a second warning red triangle, is to click Optimize, because there are some degenerated triangles and manifold edges. And yeah, that Doesn't always work 100% of the time, but we've got a tick. Netfabb's just done some further stitching up and fixing of this object. There were some manifold edges, so what we can do is now export that, and that is now completely fixed and printable. Okay, so that's the end of this lesson. Thank you.